Now, here's a weird thing. You've all seen me yapping for about a second here. No, this one wasn't the cat joke. That was yesterday. This was, I swear, 100% hit the unmute button. And then I got muted again. So this is just me being fat fingered on my mouse, I guess. But so we'll start from the top. Welcome in, everybody. Appreciate you spending some of your Wednesday here. It is Hump Day. It is Wednesday. It is the middle of a week. We are almost done with the month of April. As a matter of fact, I believe today is April the 72nd. It is another long month here in the pandemic universe. My name is Mike Hess. I am the COPD dude trying to get that to catch on because branding is essential these days, right? Just ask Steakum, of all places, really building their brand on Twitter because they're actually providing some good public health information these days. Who would have thought and they're not really explicitly trying to sell too much right now, which kind of blows my mind a little bit. But again, this is the world we live in. I run a group here on Facebook. Or there on Facebook if you happen to be watching us on YouTube. COPD Navigator has been going for, I believe it's 6 months coming up in the first week of May. Or 6 years, excuse me, 6 years. I guess that just tells you, in the words of Mr. Spock, hours can seem like days. During this whole crisis. So 6 years now coming up for COPD Navigator. That has given birth to any number of media adventures such as this. Usually we do this about twice a month, but during this whole pandemic for about the last 3 weeks or so, I've been doing a live show every day, usually at 4 p.m., trying to not counter program with some of the other outstanding respiratory groups and respiratory programming that's out there. For example, earlier this week was the Right to Breathe had an excellent webinar that I had to miss for a couple of reasons, but they did a great job with that, as they always do. And again, just trying to not counter program too much there. But about 4 o'clock every weekday during the pandemic, we've been trying to bring you the high quality, relatively objective COPD information that you need, that you might otherwise be getting from pulmonary rehab or primary care or what have you, that is not accessible right now. You can also tweet us down there. You can send me some email. That should be working, although I will admit I haven't gotten a whole lot of email yet. But if there's something on your mind, if you have suggestions for things you might like to see in the program, if you have some other stuff that you want to talk about, whether you want to put a name to it, or these are great, particularly the email address. If you want to be anonymous, or you're welcome to send me a direct message via Twitter if you happen to be tweeting out there. You can get that information, and we don't necessarily even have to put your name to it. If you want to ask questions that you don't want to put your name to, that's totally cool. Just make sure and tune in at 4 p.m. the next day, and we'll get that handled. For an example of how that works, according to the list of people that have joined at some point, my good friends Jim and Mary Nelson from the great state of Arizona checking in. Really kind of blew my mind for a second last night when I picked up my phone and saw I had a call from Arizona in not quite the middle of the night, but certainly later than often people would call. But then I was relieved when the voicemail was a friendly voice asking about Jim and Mary have a friend who apparently is going to get or wants to get an ultrasonic nebulizer. Now I'm going to pull up a little bit of information here and we'll see if there's anything that's worth sharing. Ultrasonic nebulizer. For those who may not be in the know, an ultrasonic nebulizer is fairly significantly different from your standard nebulizer. Your traditional nebulizer is pneumatically powered. Fancy word for saying it uses air. Looks something along the lines of this usually. Some of them, I don't have any of the fancier ones, but like Perry has a nebulizer that's a little bit different shape. I could probably throw some pictures up online, but that's not entirely relevant to what we're talking about here. You'll hear this called a standard nebulizer, an updraft nebulizer, because the way this works is the air has to go up through the draft, I guess. It's an updraft that creates a medicated mist that you then inhale. Sometimes you'll see it called an acorn nebulizer, because especially if you hold it upside down, which I don't advise, looks kind of like an acorn. In any event, this is kind of your standard nebulizer. Cheap, low cost, cheap really generally in every sense of the word. The downside to this is it does require a compressor. And I know, there it is. I just had to figure out which shelf it was on here. This is about as compact as these compressors get these days. Usually they're going to be a little bit bigger. This one is a Perry device, actually, not sponsored by them or anything like that. But it is a compressor. There is a tube. Do I have my tube? I don't know if I remember. I don't know if I brought the, there's a tube that goes, maybe the cat got that too, but oh, here it is. I just never took it out of the bag. How about that? So you've got your compressor, you've got your tubing, you've got your nebulizer, and I really thought I had, oh, I did. I just don't, it's not plugged in, but well, maybe we'll do that later in the week. So this creates this generates a mist, and then the air pressure goes through the tube into the thing, makes the updraft, and then your medication comes out. Works quite well, and as you can see, these days, this part of it, the compressor portion of it, relatively portable, but not entirely portable. This still takes a fair bit of juice, and so if you either have to have it plugged in, you can see that there is in fact a plug somewhere there. There's the plug outlet there, or you can see that it's got a little power contacts there. You can actually get a battery for that and make it slightly more portable, but not tremendously portable. However, there are some other devices on the market right now that work a little bit differently. These devices, let me see if I can get you a good picture one here. And let's see. Again, not sponsored by any of these companies or anything like that. Here is, that's not exactly what we're looking for. So they generally look something like this. Oops, I guess I need to turn on the, let's see if that's going to work. Hey, how about that? It's going to be a good day, folks. The tech is working. So this thing here, this is your kind of standard run-of-the-mill ultrasonic nebulizer. This one particularly is made by a company called, let's see if that's the retailer. Well, let's hope that's not the retailer. So we'll go over to Just Nebulizers. They've had some good success finding stuff on their website before. So this is another brand. This is a Loomis portable ultrasonic nebulizer. And again, not affiliated with justnebulizers.com or Loomiscope or any of these things. These are really just for example purposes. You also need a battery for this. You can plug it in, but it's going to be a little bit more portable. You can see it's a little bit smaller. Here's a good one. This one I know we've had a couple of people in the group mention specifically that they've liked. This is an Omron mesh nebulizer, slightly different than an ultrasonic. With an ultrasonic nebulizer, there's actual sound waves produced that are producing the mist, whereas with a mesh nebulizer, you actually have actual like laser precision drilled mesh, kind of like a screen that vibrates against the surface of the liquid, and then that kind of sucks it up and creates a mist that way. The upshot to both the ultrasonic and the vibrating mesh is that they tend to be quieter. They can run on batteries. You can see this Omron with the mesh. You can put some AA batteries in there, or you can have an AC adapter. They have a more consistent particle size when, let's see if bear with me for 1 second, because I'm going to see, oh yeah, I do have it pretty handy here. We're going to have a little bit of show and tell today on the program. Maybe if I can find a spare power outlet. In my great wisdom, I've plugged the wrong things into the wrong place, and I cannot find a spot for this. So I guess we're not going to have show and tell today. But in any event, when we have a nebulizer like this, the droplet size gets very inconsistent. Because this is, as I said, this is kind of cheap in every sense of the word. This is plastic, and while we have great manufacturing controls on our plastic these days, there's going to be a fair bit of inconsistency. There's going to be a lot of inconsistency from brand to brand, because there are some that are like this that are kind of two-piece. There's ones that have another piece in there. There's a lot of inconsistency in the depth, and when you have inconsistent particle size, you have inconsistent deposition in your lungs. So you can have a different effect just going from nebulizer to nebulizer, not even changing your medication or anything like that. With these newer types of nebulizers, the reason they're more financially expensive is because they are more precisely engineered. And again, that's the same point whether it's a ultrasonic or one of these vibrating mesh. So that's a benefit. One of the downsides, I suppose I would say, is you do have to be a little bit careful, because when we do clinical testing and things like that, usually we use a pneumatic nebulizer. Usually it's one of the nicer ones of these. The company Perry that makes that compressor makes some really nice, relatively consistent particle size nebulizers and all that stuff. You may get extra dose from a nebulizer like this, like one of these vibrating mesh ones or something like that. I got to remember to figure out where I'm sitting so I'm not blocked by the screen here. I am not a newscaster, clearly. I'm trying to be, but I'm not. So you may get an extra dose. You may get not an extra dose, but you may get some extra medication. And 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, probably 999 times out of 1,000, that's not going to matter. But if your system is used to a particular amount of albuterol, for example, and suddenly you get like an extra 20%, that may give you a slightly different effect. That may bump your heart rate up a little bit. So you might have to kind of play around with that a little bit. The reason I'm aware of that is that actually is a question that came up while I was doing a talk a few months ago about how, if we're doing things like this Omron, or like, let's see, another one that I saw on this page, this Inaspire. I believe a couple of people in the group have also used this Inaspire Go, made by Philips with technology from a company called Aerogen. Are you getting more of the medication? Now, usually most of the aerosols that we use, or all the aerosols we use, have a pretty wide safety margin. So even if you get that 20% more, that should be fine and safe. But you may get a little bit, you may notice a little bit more of the side effect kind of thing. So similarly, the other thing you got to watch out for, and this is with an ultrasonic nebulizer, you cannot use it with the nebulized corticosteroid that is on the market right now, Pulmicort, and the generic budesonide, because of the way the medication is designed. It's actually a suspension, and it just does not nebulize well with that type of nebulization. To my knowledge, and I don't see the warning on here, you can use budesonide with one of these mesh nebulizers. So it's going to somewhat come down to cost, but this is also the kind of thing where you get what you pay for. This type of thing is generally going to be out of pocket, because these type of fancier nebulizers are not considered medically necessary. So if you already have a nebulizer, it's going to be solely out of pocket. If you don't have one, if you're new to a nebulizer, then depending on the place you go to, I believe the rule is they will pay for the standard through Medicare Part B or whoever, they'll pay for the standard amount, and then you would be responsible for your copay and then whatever the difference is. So these are going to be, whichever is the case, these are going to be more of an out-of-pocket cost for you. So it's really going to depend on the advantage, whether you get the advantage of, or whether the advantage of portability and quietness and all that stuff is worth the extra cost. Some people it is. Some people can't afford that. I mean, that's no judgment. That's just the way it is. You can see this Omron here is going to run you about 140 bucks. It's on sale here. Now, interestingly, when I was looking at some of it, when I was first looking at the thing here, I got a couple of links. I'm going to see if I can go back and show you folks. Yeah, and so, another, again, I'm not affiliated with them, but, well, and this is going to be out of date here. Just Nebulizers has this whole thing of the 4 best ultrasonics. That's certainly fine. That's what you're going to want to shop around for. You can kind of see here, there are a couple of different ones that you can get, like this one, $40 from somebody called Newbie. Don't know anything about them. $40 from Health Headquarters. That seems a little bit more legit. But then you start getting into these things like from Wish, and I don't know if anybody has ever used Wish, but Wish is not where you want to go for healthcare stuff, let me tell you. It's barely where you want to go for fake jewelry and clothing and stuff like that. It's definitely not where you're going to want to go for something that's actually important. These stuff tends to be not entirely what it looks like on the advertisement, to the point where I think you can go to YouTube and find a lot of like comical reviews of unboxing and things like that, stuff I ordered from Wish and all that stuff. So you're not going to want to do that. And so you're looking at, probably 40 to 50 bucks is probably pretty reasonable for one of these ultrasonic deals. To me, it would be more important, not only, like here's one from, actually you can apparently get from Walmart, 40 bucks. To me, I would recommend, especially if you already have a nebulizer, I would recommend kind of saving up for it basically and getting one of these like an Omron or the Philips, the InnoSpire. These just have more advantages to me. The fact that this can run off a AA or a plug. Let's see, is it okay? So it's an extra 30 bucks for the plug. But so it says it runs for 4 hours on just 2 AA batteries, figure maybe 10 minutes per session. So you would get 4 hours would be 240 minutes. So you can get 24, roughly figure 20 nebulizations from one pair of batteries. And if you get rechargeable batteries, then that's even better. Or you can get the plug here. The mask, some of that stuff, that's not really going to be, that's going to be a wash because you have disposables with the other stuff too. The upkeep costs are probably going to be roughly the same with the exception of the batteries. So, maybe you want to opt in for the AC adapter. Again, up to you. But what it comes down to is I would recommend somebody get something like this so that, if you are on, or if you go on the corticosteroid therapy or anything like that, you can still use this device with that. So Jim and Mary, I'm not 100% sure that's answered all of your questions, but you are welcome to have your friend reach out to me, again, via email, via any method that you choose. I'm looking at maybe even getting a text or a telephone number that we could maybe do to make it a little bit easier for people who aren't necessarily connected to get connected. And just trying to shut that off here. There we go. To get connected with us, I know a lot of people, it would be great if we could have a phone number where you can call and leave a message. It would be great if you can send us a text. We're working on it. And that's all I can say. But in the meantime, have them, if there are other questions, please feel free to pass them along. Please feel free to pass along this information. Again, you'll be able to find, if you want to send them to YouTube to get this, to check out the results here. That's cool. Otherwise, hopefully they have some success with that. Let's see what else we've got. Checking out here. So we've got Perry brand. Perry Vios, says Joe. Is that, I'm going to look that up real quick. I was neglecting the chat for a little bit. So the Perry Vios, yeah, that is also going to be a compressor, pneumatic nebulizer. This is the Perry Trek. I'm looking at the, oh, there's a magnet in there. How about that? The Perry Vios, I can actually pull that back up here, make that visible again, and voila. Starting to get pretty good at that, which means I'm inevitably going to screw it up in a minute. So you can see, this, well, I'm probably got to hold it, switch back to the other window. Yeah, nope, I had it right. How about that? So you can see, just in time for the little advertisement thing to get in the way there. So you can actually see the Trek S. Well, this is a Trek S2. I don't know why there's yellow and mine's black, but whatever. That's going to be a little bit bigger than this. So again, a little less portable in theory. I mean, it's portable in the sense that if you were to go stay in a hotel somewhere, you could easily take it with you, but it's not necessarily something you can carry around and do on the go. You can see the Perry nebulizer itself. The nebulizer cup is a little bit different format. Looks a little bit different like that. And that's that. John also points out that, yeah, if we're talking about Wish, Wish does not always have the best fulfillment track record. So sometimes you get the stuff, sometimes you don't get the stuff. So buyer beware there. All right, so that is our first question of the day. So I appreciate all that. Appreciate Jim and Mary getting us off to a good start today. We definitely have plenty of time for questions. I do have my harmonica ready to go here. So if anybody wants to throw in some requests for some harmonica music, while you're all doing that, I'm going to see if I can pull up my beloved Star Trek theme harmonica, and we'll see if we can blast that out real quick. Why do we do harmonicas? Nobody has asked yet today, so maybe everybody already knows the answer, but harmonicas are a fantastic way to promote some, John points out with the Trek S you can get with the case, etc., for about $62. I believe that's everything except the battery. We can go back. We'll take a look back real quick. Because I remember I was looking into the battery part. Yeah, and the battery actually runs you. That's kind of the most expensive part. From Nebology, excuse me. That's $198. Now I'm getting an Amazon sale, battery not included. Yeah, so okay, so $93 on Amazon. I didn't think you could buy that from Amazon, because I thought it was kind of a prescription thing, but it's interesting. Yeah, so the battery really is what makes these things expensive most of the time, and honestly that's like that with a lot of technology. So John, yeah, you can get the case and all that stuff, and that is actually the kit I got. I bought this with some health dollars, the flexible spending thing, and I got the kit and a couple other odds and ends. Case, it came with a couple of nebulizer cups, came with some tubing, all that stuff, and it was about healthproducts.com says 63, so that's pretty close. CPAP exchange maybe 54. Some of these things it's going to depend on what kind of kit they put together and all that stuff. So, but yeah, that's pretty reasonable. That's pretty reasonable guess. And you are very welcome, Jim and Mary. Like I said, I hope that helps. So while we're waiting on the next batch of stuff here, let's see what we can get to come in here. And again, to kind of show you what I'm working on, we'll get the window back open there. Why do we do harmonica? Harmonica is a great way to promote breath holding, to promote some breathing techniques. It's very similar to in many respects to pursed lip breathing. And it can be very helpful in that regard, because we've talked before about why people sometimes don't do pursed lip breathing. And that's because pursed lip breathing in and of itself is not particularly fun. It's a thing that you do, but you don't really get a lot of, response from it. So, sometimes it's just fun to make noise, right? Sometimes it's fun to just make some noise. So this is a thing that you can use to kind of encourage yourself to make some noise. You can do it as part of a group. That's been my association with it. The COPD Foundation has put together a really nice program for anybody who wants to start one of these things in their area. Usually a clinician, but there's certainly no reason if you wanted to get together your own patient support group. I think the starter kit runs $150, $200. It comes with 10 sets of harmonicas plus a leader guide and all that kind of stuff. So relatively minimal initial investment. And then, we just kind of get these cheapo harmonicas for the second batch. We can get these from Amazon. You can get more from the COPD Foundation. You can do whatever you like. And then you can do this. Starts off real well. Gets a little iffy as we get down the road here. But what you can kind of see is this can be a really nice workout. We talk about activity and we talk about all that stuff. This is kind of a really nice workout for your lungs. I will tell you that while we don't have a real solid evidence base for either, I will go to my grave telling people that this works better than an incentive spirometer. And I really need to bring that down here too, because it's sitting on my desk upstairs and not doing anybody good up there. Of course, the argument would be it doesn't really do anybody any good anyway. So I know there are some people that will swear by the thing. But if you're going to spend the time to do an incentive spirometer, spend the time to get up and walk around. You really want to do some good with a clinical device. That's where your oscillatory PEP comes in. This or the aerobica, or this is the aerobica or the acapella, that kind of thing, because at least you're getting some resistance. The resistance is really the key. A lot of times people ask me why doesn't an incentive spirometer do any good? And it's because, like any fluid, air takes the path of least resistance. You find all these puzzles on Facebook all the time about how, well, if you pour here, where's the water going to go and all that stuff. Water is going to seek its own level and it's going to follow the path of least resistance. If you have a pipe that's this big, it's going to get a lot more water than a pipe that's this big, just because of the way pressure works. And so your lungs kind of follow that philosophy. The idea of coughing, deep breathing, incentive spirometry, oscillatory PEP, all those kind of things, is to help expand more of the lung and make it work better. And in order to do that, you have to apply a certain amount of pressure. We call it the alveolar opening pressure, if you really want something to Google before you go to bed tonight. You have to overcome that alveolar opening pressure in order to inflate the lung. And it's really difficult to do that with negative pressure. I inflate very, 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 very few extra alveoli by doing that. But if I give myself resistance, like this, or like, that's helping me get more of those alveoli into the game. That's why you need an actual resistance device because it is not futile. It is actually much more useful than an incentive spirometer. So, end of that soapbox. That is where more harmonica music comes in. So we often, so we'll do this again. I'm going to inflict this upon you because I just have too many viewers right now. So we're going to try it again. You can also kind of see as you get up toward each end, it's a little bit more difficult. So it's difficult to make noise sucking in at the high end, and it can be difficult blowing out at the low end, just because of what you need to vibrate inside the device. So it's kind of a variable workout, and you can kind of find the song that fits your scope or where you're at so that you can work to improve. One of the things that we start with oftentimes when we're doing harmonicas for health programs that I hope to get back to again at some point is this. Our old friend, oops, not guitar, but harmonica. And we're going to make that a little bit bigger because this tends to be, well, we're going to make that a little bit smaller actually because we got to try to get the whole thing on one page here. So I guess that's why I had it small to begin with. I outsmarted myself successfully. Oh yeah, I'm still moving there. Okay, good. Feel free to jump in with some comments, some suggestions, some complaints. If you're telling me that everything is horrible, that's fine too. Freaking me out a little bit when nobody says anything. So what I really need to do, I think, is figure out a way to have like virtual tomatoes so you can throw tomatoes at the screen without messing up your computer or your phone. So if we can figure that out, you'll be the first people to know. But so this is one of the things that we do right away because you can see when we're following along with this particular tabulature, it's called. I'm gonna see. Maybe I should make that a little bit bigger. That ought to work a little bit better. Yeah. You can see there's the two different arrows and two different colors that kind of help, depending on how you think there. If it's pointing up and if it was printed on a paper, it would be pointing away from you. That is blowing out. And the things that are pointing down are drawing in. So that way it's really easy for us to be able to teach some of these basic songs like this and be able to play them together. So this is why we start with this particular song. Relatively simple, a little bit less in the way of there's not a lot of movement back and forth. It's really simple in the middle so that you don't have to change your force a lot. You can have some fun stuff with that. So that is one of the initial songs that we do. We also do songs like yeah, we'll do that one. No, we're gonna do this one. Because you can see this one has a slightly different tabulature to it, nomenclature, a little bit different design to it, where instead of arrows, we have negatives. You know, we assume that if there's no plus, it's a positive, so you're blowing out, you're exerting positive pressure, and if you're drawing in, then that's drawing in. So ta-da. So we can kind of scale this stuff up and down depending on where you're at musically, where the group is at musically. When you're starting out with this stuff, it is really nice to be able to just have some basic songs that you can play. That way everybody can play together. You know, when I first started, when most of the group starts out, nobody really knows. Everybody, you pick up the thing and you're... And that's it. And that's cool because then you all get to learn together. You have that even playing field and everybody's kind of having some fun together. So, what do you want me to try? Give me some songs here. What kind of genres do people like? Do we want, let's see, what this is, April going into May. I don't really know any songs that, if we're doing this around in December, we might be able to do some Christmas songs or something like that. But, you can find a lot of these on your own if you want by looking up harmonica tabs on your search engine of choice. And you can get a whole bunch of them for free. So we've got, what can we do with, can we do some Beethoven? Well, that's going to basically be more Ode to Joy, I guess. I don't think I can handle Fur-Elise. What do we have from the Stones? Let's go a little classic rock, maybe. Let's try this. Here we go. Probably should try to do a name that tune, but... That's a little fast for how I can play. So, but I bet we can do this one slow. This is on our usual Sunday morning playlist. Doesn't sound right. Oh, wait, now I hear it. Not a huge fan of that, of me. Like, not a huge fan of my rendition of that. So what else? Let's see. Here's another slow one. That's one of my favorites. Let's see if I can, let's see how terrible I can do with this one. Oh, I almost had it. It sounded even worse. My take is, if I use the harmonica that I have and use music on YouTube, then I will not need to use the device that caused vibration you just showed right now. So again, this question came up earlier, I think, and while these two types of devices, and again, I'll give you full disclosure. A good friend of mine works for the company that makes this, Monahan, and can sometimes give me some free ones that I can hand out in the clinic. I am not financially compensated by this company or anything like that. And there are several other devices on the market right now that I'm not going to tell you that this one is special or magical or anything like that. So, but I just want full disclosure. These do two different things. So it's going to depend on why you're doing this one. And I'm going to take it's going to depend on why you're doing this one, because the biggest advantage that this has over the harmonica is that this actually has the vibration. This has a vein inside of here that flops back and forth when you're blowing on it. And you know, Renee, if you ever happen to watch this, if you guys could come up with with a transparent one of these things so that we can show that while it's actually doing that, that would be fantastic. Then maybe I'll be financially compensated. But so anyway, we get that vibration from this, and the vibration oftentimes helps knock loose some of the mucus that builds up in the chest. It also gives the resistance that, yikes, also gives the resistance that this can, and arguably a little bit more, because again, this is kind of a fun device. This is an actual medical device. So the advantage to this is that you are more likely to stick with it. In my experience, you know, sometimes people are great at following their regimen. Sometimes people are not so great. This has some fun involved with it. You can show other people, you know, you can play it with other people, all that stuff. Whereas this is, taking your medicine. This is the spoonful of sugar. So I would not say that you don't have to do it, but it can be helpful to do on top of it, you know, especially for those folks who don't have something like this, which is an unfortunate amount of people, and which is why I'm very grateful to my friend Renee for being able to provide a lot of these. So I would not say that it's a replacement, but it's something that you can do if you don't have something like that. If you do, then do them both, frankly. If you don't, then at least do something like this. So that is what I hope you take away from it. There are a lot of devices. There are probably, or there are almost as many devices for lung clearance and stuff like that as there are nebulizers and inhalers and stuff. So it's absolutely tremendously confusing, and that's why I do what I do, and why I hope that we'll put on the salesman hat again real quick, kind of. That I hope you will like and share and subscribe and comment and all that stuff, because that's what drives these videos to the top of the algorithms and helps other people get the information. So not making any money from this now. Maybe someday I can be the COPD dude full time, but it is what it is. So in the meantime, all I ask is that you like, share, and subscribe. Facebook, YouTube, all those different places, everything else. So that's that. What else we got? Any other stuff in the world of COPD? Let's join Judy in some questions here so that I don't have to inflict more harmonica on you, unless that's really what you guys are craving. If you're really craving, do I see Jamie Sullivan from the COPD Foundation perhaps checking in? Again, the COPD Foundation is the folks that really came up with the idea of Harmonicas for Health, the idea that harmonicas had been around before that, but the foundation, as hopefully I said, I meant to say at the top of all this, believe it or not even just with Jamie showing up and keeping me on my toes. But they're the ones that kind of packaged it and really made it effective for a lot of people, along with some input from the Academy of Country Music. So we'll order this one. You demonstrated it. Do feel you need it. And I'm not sure. I didn't think you could get a nebulizer on Amazon, but I'm not sure how you can. You might be able to get one through your physician's office. You might be able to get one through um, DME provider, wherever you get nebulizer, oxygen, all that kind of stuff. There are some places you can get it online. And I will tell you that, okay, so apparently you can't get it on Amazon. Who knew? Let's see. So you can get it on Amazon for, let's see if it pops up here. $68 plus $11.99 shipping. 4 left in stock. Buy now. So there you go. You can get it there. I will tell you that there is another one that I'm going to pull up here. I used to have one. I don't know what happened to it. Maybe it's still in my office somewhere. I'm going to see if I can pull up a picture, and we'll put that back into the stream here. Yeah, so this thing, oops. So this green thing all over to the side of the, let's see if I can make the window bigger. Yeah, there we go. This green thing here, this is called an acapella. And this is kind of the forerunner to this aerobica deal. I will say, even before I knew Renee, I kind of preferred this a little bit more just because it was a little bit easier to clean and stuff like that. But this aerobica does functionally the same thing. It will be cheaper. Like I said, it can be a little bit more difficult to wash. But you can see on here, you'd want to get the high flow one. The low flow is basically pediatrics. So this is going to be cheaper if you're able to get it. Again, I don't know if this is one from Amazon or not, but that one's going to be a little bit cheaper. If you are in a position where that is a huge issue, then certainly try this first. And if it works fine, then fantastic. Otherwise, or if you just want to go with the one shot, the aerobica, this is dishwasher safe. You can hand wash it. You can do all this stuff. The aerobica or the acapella is a little bit more difficult to clean, but it's always trade-offs. Always trade-offs. Jim, what I can tell you is that it is actually there. This is actually there right now. Uh-oh. Did I freeze up? Hang on. We are in audio only mode right now, and now we should be back. A little hiccup there, as happens from time to time. What was I saying? So, Jim, this is actually there now. One of the biggest things, and one of the biggest complexities that I had, and where a lot of the tech fails right now, is I came to realize in the last year or so that a lot of people don't really like Facebook anymore, and I totally get that. They don't want to sign up for Facebook, all that kind of stuff. So I wanted to make this stuff more accessible. So that's why I also stream live. Every one of these is streamed live to my channel on YouTube. So you can find it with that link that I sent, or if you just go to YouTube and search for COPD Navigator, and then that way, that's where all this subscribes comes in and all that stuff. At 200 subscribers right now, if I could make it to 1,000, then we can actually start raising some money for COPD research and all that kind of stuff with some of their monetization stuff. So that would be kind of awesome if we can get to that point. But I still need 800 more people to share this stuff. So also, it's on Twitch. All right, great. So Jamie has a clip of some of the players from home. So let's see. Let's really see. Let's do some Facebook Inception kind of stuff here. And let's see if we can get that to at least play the video. I don't know that we can do audio. Audio can be tough. But I want to see if we can get the video of what she's posting here. So yeah, here we go. I just got to make that visible again. And there we go. So this, as you can see, this is Tennessee State Captains, and Tennessee is actually where I learned how to do Harmonicas for Health, thanks to Stephanie Williams, who was one of the first drivers of this program. But you can see here, these folks are probably doing a heck of a lot better than I am. Tennessee State Advocacy Captains, keeping busy during social distancing. This is from about a month ago, but this is over at the COPD Foundation's page. If not there, there are more loaded under videos on our Facebook page. So what I'm going to do, I've got that in the that's in the watch party, and I'm also going to drop the link into the feed here of the unified chat. Whoops. Well, there's some fun stuff here. Yeah. So lower the boat. So. Always be careful with what's next in the queue, I guess. Window capture done there. There. So we've got that video up there. And, you know, again, I can't say enough about the COPD Foundation. I will admit, again, a little bit biased there. I'm a state advocacy captain. I've done a lot of work with Jamie and with Stephanie and with Kristen and with so many people at the foundation who have been an incredible beacon of research and support for a long time in the COPD community. So really appreciate all the stuff that they're doing. Please go check out the videos on their account and give them some shout out too. Give them some internet love. Yeah. So, and you know what would be a lot of fun is if you do have a harmonica, if you've been to a Harmonicas for Health program and you have one of these, go ahead and film yourself and upload it to COPD Navigator, to COPD Foundation. Upload it somewhere so that we can, you know, because again, the key to these videos, I started off with these videos being almost solely educational. And then it was pointed out that, especially during the pandemic, people can't get information. And not only can they not get information, but they can't be social. You know, there's this whole cycle of stuff where some of the good news has been in COVID patients, the disease that you get from this coronavirus. The COPD and asthma communities, because you know we all know they kind of get lumped together a lot of times, have been underrepresented. There haven't been as many cases of COVID with COPD and COVID with asthma as the statistical models would predict. And so there's a lot of question about that. And my gut and many others are saying, oh, it's because these are the people who are keeping themselves isolated. These are, unfortunately, there's a lot of isolation in these communities, especially COPD to begin with. And you're also the ones that take these warnings seriously for social distancing and all that kind of stuff. So where I'm going with this is we want to be social. That's why I started bringing in harmonica stuff. That's why we did the lip sync for lungs again last week. Why we're doing Fitness Friday again this week on Friday. If the weather holds out, we may even try to go outside and play a little Foursquare and see if we can get that to work. We're gonna see how that goes. That might be a little ambitious for my setup, but that's why we're trying to do some of these social things and why I don't want to just be the educational guy. I want to do some fun stuff. I want to put some smiles on faces and make you folks laugh. So tell me how I can do that. Tell me what you need to get through the rest of this pandemic and beyond, because this is about having fun. We have a lot of serious stuff to talk about in healthcare, in COPD. We're hopefully getting to a point where public health is going to have a big role and a lot of good news, but we need to have some fun doing it. We need to have our ice bucket challenges. We need to have our videos. So make yourself a video. I don't know if I can quantify it into what do you call it? Like a challenge, you know, one of these YouTube challenges or Facebook challenges or TikTok or whatever it is. I don't know that I can elevate it to that, but let's do our own internal challenge where you film yourself playing harmonica, doing some pursed lip breathing, doing any of these things that can help. And then let's share so that other people know that they aren't alone in this situation. So let's all work together to make that happen, huh? That's my pitch, my request, my ask of everyone out there today. Um, Among other asks, of course. I know I'm being a little bit selfish, but thank you, Jamie, for everything that you do. I think we will go ahead and wrap things up. We're starting to slow down just a touch here. We'll give it a minute. I will invite any additional questions that might be popping out there while we start wrapping things up and getting ready for tomorrow. Tomorrow will probably be kind of a loose day again. Last week it was our throwback Thursday for lip sync for lungs, but I have not yet gotten any requests. So if we get some requests, we can definitely do some lip sync stuff. Again, probably hopefully put some smiles on faces. We can certainly do more harmonica. We can do whatever we want because this is our time. This is public health COPD time. This is helping you get through the near apocalypse and all that stuff. So with that said, Joe, funny story about bagpipes. I absolutely love bagpipes. I attribute that also to some of my trekkiness. You know, I was growing up, and I even referenced this earlier today. Star Trek II has always been one of my favorite movies, and I have always wanted to have Amazing Grace on the bagpipes at my funeral. I know it's kind of weird for a kid to be thinking all that stuff, but it's like I want to be like Mr. Spock, right? So, and that has translated. I just really like bagpipe music. I don't know why. I have no reason to like it other than that. I dig it. Unfortunately, everybody else in my house hates bagpipes, as you might expect. So I don't usually get a lot of time to enjoy the bagpipes. One funny thing is, you know, another show that we've really liked, the reboot of Battlestar Galactica, the music on that show is spectacular. There's a gentleman by the name of Bear McCreary. Or is it Bear McCready? I think it's McCreary. I always forget that. I want to give credit where credit is due. Yeah, Bear McCreary, who is just brilliant with music composition, and he brings in bagpipes, he brings in drums, he brings in these combinations of music or of instruments that you would probably never see and or hear, I suppose, and just does some fantastic stuff. So there are some bagpipe things there. I've kind of gotten the kids to mellow a little bit under certain circumstances with bagpipes, but I still don't get a whole lot of bagpipes. So, but if I can find some, I will play them here. Somebody send me some bagpipes. How about that? Or if I can find some in the quarantine, then I will play them. But so we'll go ahead and wrap things up, putting a pin in the old bagpipes and seeing if we can get that going for next month. In the meantime, as I said before, my name is Mike Hess. I'm the COPD dude. This is COPD Navigator House Call, your now daily look into the world of COPD and hopefully having a fun time doing it. Until tomorrow, please make sure that you send me any ideas of things you would like to see, any questions you would like to ask. If you want to do it anonymously, you can send them via email down to breathetv@copdnavigator.net. If you have any other questions, you can feel free to tweet or comment on YouTube or Facebook. Join our group on Facebook, all of which you can find at COPD by searching for COPD Navigator. Until then, stay strong, stay safe, and stay home, and make sure that you keep breathing lightly, everybody. And we'll see you tomorrow. Take care.